19 through 31. Father, we do praise you, and I ask you now in the name of Jesus, move James out of the way. And I pray, God, that you will send your spirit, send your preacher, dispatch it now, and let the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be holy and acceptable in thy sight. For thou art my rock and my redeemer. I'm trusting you, Father. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. It seems as though the New Testament or Christian Bible can be summed up as locked in and locked out. In many instances, the religious right, the Jewish religious hierarchy, was attempting to keep their turf. They were locked in while locking others out. The Jewish leaders were bent on keeping things the way they had always been. They didn't want to relinquish their power or influence. Yeah. And it's very easy to point our index fingers at this group.
All right.
But if the truth be told, many times we all tried or have tried to protect our best interests.
Amen. Amen.
My mother taught me self-preservation is the first law of nature.
All right. All right.
Believe it or not, this still happens. Not to the point of the Jewish leaders, but some are locked in while locking others out because of the denomination affiliation.
All right.
We are in this denomination. We believe this and we do this, not that.
Yes.
We don't believe in all that noise.
All right.
It doesn't take all of that locking in and locking out. We got to shout, holler, dance, and run around.
Yes.
We don't do quiet church.
All right. All right.
Locking in, locking out.
Yes.
A conversation with Dr. Clayton the other day put it all in perspective.
Yes.
And he was asking me, he said in so many words, how are you coming along? Because he knew I came from a loud church. And he knew that I was one of those who ran around, shout, hollered, and screamed, and would cry like a little baby. And so he was talking to me about both churches. And he put it in perspective. He said, you do know that God is in both.
Yes, yes.
That was the end of the quote. He said, you do know that God is in both churches. He's in the loud church, and he's in the quiet church. And when he said that, it touched me theologically because I had not really given any thought to that, but I knew that, but I had never given any thought to it. Dr. Clayton said, no, you do know.
That's right.
You do know that God is in both churches.
That's right. Yes, he is.
He said he's in the quiet church, and he's in the loud church.
That's right.
And he said he's such a big God that you can't lock him in.
Amen.
And you can't lock him out.
Yes.
He doesn't fit into our compartmentalized mindsets.
Amen.
In other words, there's no reason to lock in and lock others out.
That's right.
If your church is a shouting church, and that's how you have church, that's not a problem to God.
Yeah.
The only problem arises when you lock in and lock others out who don't.
Yeah.
If your church is a quiet church, and that's how you have church, that's not a problem to God. The problem only arises when you lock in and lock others out who aren't quiet. And truth be told, God truly is in both. He's in the charismatics church, where it's electrifying. He's in the high church setting, where they close their eyes and meditate, and you see tears falling from their eyes. God is too big to ever be contained.
Yes, Lord.
Bringing me to my first point.
Come on now.
Social distancing.
Talk about it. Talk about it, Pastor.
Jesus breaks through the doors.
All right. All right.
The disciples are closed in on Easter evening. This is last week, the evening part of the lectionary being preached.
Yes.
And only the quarantined disciples saw Jesus. Only those who were quarantined saw Jesus. That they are locked in, Miss Angela, behind closed doors. And Jesus decides, I'm going to stop in. They were quarantined for fear of the Jewish leaders, afraid they would be punished for being a follower and they would be killed. Jesus was a felon who died by capital punishment. Our being quarantined, much like the disciples, is a matter of life and death. Let me say that again to the Christian community. Our being quarantined, much like the disciples, is a matter of life and death. And being quarantined should be taken so seriously. I ain't worried about it. See, somebody is depending on you. Don't let selfishness help us slip away from here early. Somebody is depending on you. And Jesus was depending on his disciples. It's not a lack of faith to practice social distancing. Can I say that one more time, church? It's not a lack of faith to practice social distancing. It's being responsible for yourself and others who are depending on you. Satan told Jesus, throw yourself down from this cliff, from this mountaintop. And Jesus stated, I will not tempt the Lord my God. And so why are so many still tempting the Lord their God as though death cannot enter in?
Come on. That's right.
Early.
That's right.
Some people are dying prematurely.
That's right.
Don't have to. You see people all the time just ignoring
That's right.
social distancing. Can I preach it like a figure?
Please.
The Bible says that we are to obey the laws of the land.
That's right. That's right.
And God has set people up
That's right.
to keep us safe.
Yes.
And the disciples here
Yeah.
are quarantined out of fear.
My God.
And Jesus breaks in to the quarantine.
Lord have
So
mercy.
just because we can't come to church
Come on here.
don't mean we can't worship God. He's able to come into our quarantine quarters.
Yes. That's right. That's right. Yes, Lord.
They weren't in the temple. They weren't at the Jewish religious headquarters.
Yeah.
They were in a house, locked in. But so was Jesus.
My Lord. My Lord.
He became locked in with them.
Yes.
Isn't that good news?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Whatever got you and I locked in, Jesus can still break through and be with us.
Lord have mercy. Thank you, Jesus.
Although locked in, they were still in Jesus' view.
Yeah.
Although locked in,
Yes, Lord.
Jesus could still be touched and felt.
Yes, Lord.
Didn't we see that when Paul and Silas was locked in a Roman jail?
That's right.
One prayed and the other sang. And in the words of Elvis Presley, the jailhouse rocked.
Come on now.
Jesus strengthens them in the quarantine. He visits them and he comforts them.
Yes.
He empowers them.
Yeah.
He breathes on them.
Yes.
And he gives them a new start.
Yeah.
I want you to look at your neighbor and say, when this is all over, I'm going to come out of the quarantine strengthened by my encounter with Jesus. Because Jesus will visit us if we just cry out.
That's right.
Jesus will visit us if we just sing like we just heard Miss Jacqueline sing.
Yes.
You just open your mouth and let God know, I still need you. I still trust you. I still want you. I still send my tithes. I'm still praying. I'm still visiting the sick. I'm calling them. I'm texting them. I'm emailing them. And I'm reaching out because God is still alive and had to have empirical data.
Yeah.
Seeing, though, is not faith. Because Hebrews 11:1 says, now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen.
Yes.
And whenever situations arise, you will always need, and I will always need, now faith.
Yes, Lord.
Yesterday's faith won't help you in a time of an emergency.
Amen.
You got to have now faith.
Now faith.
Somebody else just holler, now faith.
Now faith.
And that's what we have to use each and every day of our lives. Yesterday's faith, last week's faith, last year's faith won't help you right now.
That's right.
We need a present faith.
Yes.
Hebrews 11:6. For he that cometh to God must believe that he is, and that he is reward of them that diligently seek him. First criteria when coming to God, must believe that he's God.
Yes.
The second criteria is, when coming to God, one must believe he rewards them that diligently seek him. So what is believing? So glad you asked. Believing is more than a cognitive activity.
All right. All right.
Believing is more than a feeling or an emotion.
Yes.
Believing is being fully convinced and fully persuaded.
Yes.
Let me say that one more time.
Come on now.
Believing is being fully convinced and fully persuaded. In other words, nothing can shake you once you really believe something.
Yes.
When I was a little kid and I was taking math in elementary school, I'm about the first, second grade, teacher trying to tell me 2 plus 2 equal 4. I wasn't so sold on it because 2 plus 2 didn't mean 4 to me just because she said it. So she told me to put her 2 fingers this way and 2 fingers this way, and she said, count.
Yeah.
1, 2, that's 2. I said, yes, ma'am. 3, 4. Then I was convinced.
Yes.
It's not until you and I experience something that we're really able to say, now I believe.
Yes.
I want you to look at your neighbor and say, I believe.
I believe.
Because I've experienced
Because I experienced
Jesus for myself.
Jesus for myself.
2 Corinthians 4:3 says, we believe, therefore we have spoken.
Yes.
Belief always calls for action. Dr. Howard Thurman, in his book, Jesus and the Disinherited, he said the heart is only 18 inches from the head.
What you say? Yeah.
Heart?
The heart.
I think it's on the left side, right?
Yeah.
Right, Mr. Drake, on the left side? Yeah. It's only 18 inches from the brain, is what he's saying.
My Lord.
But you and I both know it's a short distance, but it's worlds apart.
Yeah.
Because in theology, they have something called head theology.
What you say?
And head theology is how you intellectualize.
All right.
I can usually say that till I'm preaching.
Yeah.
It's how you intellectualize the scriptures and God. But it does not mean that you have a relationship with God.
That's true.
You're just bright, smart, or maybe even a genius. But then heart theology
Yes.
is what our foreparents had. They couldn't read the scriptures,
All right. All right.
but they knew Jesus. They didn't have no theology, but they knew how to get a prayer through.
Amen.
And I want you to ask your neighbor, which one do you have? Do you have heart or do you have head?
Head, heart. Yeah.
And some people are blessed to have both.
Yeah.
Because some people are just heady like that. You know, Bishop Noel Jones kind of had it that way.
Yeah.
He can intellectualize. He can go deep as a theologian and philosopher in the scriptures, but then also at the end, he can shout you crazy.
Yes.
Some people have both, but if I had to have a choice,
I want heart.
give me heart theology. Because a heart always touches another heart.
That's right.
Help us, Holy Ghost.
Yes, Jesus.
Look at your neighbor and say, heart theology, heart theology. I need heart theology. What is believing?
Thank you, Jesus.
Believing is being fully my point, my third point. Shared experience. Judas wasn't there. He didn't have the same experience. Thomas wasn't there. And nor did either of them have the blessedness of having Jesus breathe on them. So what is this breathing all about? Why are you breathing on? It was a reenactment of what God did in the Garden of Eden when Adam laid lifeless on the lush green floor. They call it ruah. God breathed into man, and it wasn't until breath entered man that man became a living soul. And when Jesus breathed upon them, they were now receiving the Holy Ghost. That will be given some 50 days later. But he was breathing on them, giving them a new life and a new start, a new experience. They had already seen Jesus' hands and Jesus' feet. It's vitally important for all the disciples to believe. And I need you to lean in right there. It's so important that you and I truly believe. Especially in this pandemic. Because people are sad and depressed. As a matter of fact, they said now that spousal abuse is up. Child abuse is up. Drinking is up. Everything is up because people are trying to medicate themselves. Because when you don't have Jesus, you got to find another way to cope. But you ought to look at your neighbor and say, you don't need dope to cope. You got Jesus on your side. And we already heard he's able, if we cry out, to break through the quarantine. The disciples couldn't preach, wouldn't be able to witness if they did not believe. Jesus breaks in again. Why? For Thomas. He said, come on, Thomas. You didn't think I heard you, but I heard you. I already know your personality. Put your hand in my wrist. Come on and touch me. Because you're one of those, you got to see it to believe it. Come on and touch my feet. You got to be able to feel it. Come on, put your hands in my side. But here's what gets me. It's possible to see and not believe. Because if you read the 28th verse, Jesus tells him, come on and touch me, but don't touch me faithless. So it's possible to touch and still not believe. Help me, Holy Ghost. Because seeing is not always believing. I don't believe what I saw. It couldn't have been. You saw it with your own two eyes. But for some reason, you just won't believe it. He says, Thomas, when you come touch me, I want you to touch me with faith. And so whenever somebody reaches out to Jesus, you can't reach out to him faithless. You must reach out to him with faith. Faith to believe that he's able to do whatever you're praying about. Faith to believe he's still God all by himself. Some people come to church on Sunday mornings and they touch him, but they ain't got no faith. But the other folks touch him and they got faith and their lives get turned upside down. Well, you say, give me an example. I'm so glad you asked. I got one. When the woman with the issue of blood, Jesus was walking through. Everybody was around her. And she reached down and she touched the hem of his garment. You have to realize, though, at the bottom of the hem was scriptures, Torah, Old Testament. So she was grabbing the word and the word. Help me, Holy Ghost. You can't move when you're dealing with something that's double worded. And when she touched him, she said in her heart, believing that if I but just touch the the hem of his garment,
Right now.
I shall be made whole. So when she touched him with faith. And then Jesus turns around, he says, who touched me?
Yes, Lord.
Many times people come to church.
Yeah.
Many times people go to revivals.
Yes.
But we never touch him.
That's it.
Because we're so worried about others around us. We're so worried about what's going on at home. We're so worried about what's going on in our jobs. We're so worried about our children. We're so worried about this and that. But when one puts their mind on Jesus and decide, I'm going to touch you, Jesus always feels the touch of someone who has faith.
Yes.
Faith.
Lord.
The size of a mustard seed.
Yes.
Not the size of a towel. Not the size of paper.
Yes.
I don't know if you ever seen mustard seed. They're so small.
Right.
You can't hardly get it in your hand without it going and running out. Jesus said you don't have to have a whole lot of faith. Just a little faith. If you touch me with a little faith, I can turn your world upside down.
Jesus.
He said, who touched me? And the disciples said, Master, Master, what you mean who touched you? Don't you see all the people around you? And Jesus said, no, somebody pulled on my virtue.
That's it.
And if you really study that, watch this, Miss Red, Miss Angela, Miss Jacqueline. She stole her healing.
There. My God.
Because desperate people don't ask.
Come on.
Desperate people take.
Yes, Lord.
She took what she needed
Yeah.
because she knew she was dying. And if she didn't touch him, she would die.
My God. My God.
You got to have a desperate faith.
Jesus.
So Jesus told him, come on. Come on, homeboy. Come on. I've been waiting on you. I came back. This is 8 days later.
Yeah.
I'm back on a Monday for you to touch because you've gone 8 days without believing. And I need you to get this reconciled in your mind that what you heard is true.
Yes. Yes.
So come on and touch me, but touch me in faith.
Yes, Lord.
Bringing me to my 4th point. Sightless.
Sightless.
Sightless. So Jesus says, sightless means unable to see. Because and the sightless ones are you and I. We were born out of this space and time continuum. In other words, we weren't born 2,000 years ago. We never had an opportunity to meet Jesus in the flesh. But Jesus says we are more blessed when we believe. He said, because Thomas, you believe because you can see it. But blessed are those who believe who cannot see it. He said, blessed means that they are happy. Because it takes more faith to see something by the spirit realm than it does by the physical realm. There is a such thing as physical eyes and spiritual eyes. I believe, as you do, that Jesus is the Christ. I believe, as you do, that he died on the cross for my sins. I believe he rose from the grave. And I believe, as you do, as we say in the affirmation of faith, that he ascended back into heaven and sitting right on the right-hand side of the Father. And not only is he sitting on the right-hand side of the Father, he's making intercession for you and I, which means he's praying for us. But then also, on that great getting up morning, he's going to leave heaven and come back, and he's going to catch us up in the air. I heard an old preacher say it this way. He said he's not going to go over there by 1st 6th Street. Because then the Baptists will say, I had it all right.
Come on.
He ain't going to come to the corner of, what is this? Give me the street right here, y'all. Freeman Avenue and 8th.
Yeah.
Because then the Methodists will say, Israel Chapel and St. Paul will say, the Methodists had it right. He's not going to go there on Lincoln like the Catholic Church. Because then the Catholics will say, I told you all along, we had it right. But he gonna stop in the air.
Come on. Come on.
And the dead in Christ is going to rise.
Yeah.
And this is the last sign.
Right.
We believe.
Yeah.
Sightless. We've never seen it. But we believe it.
All right.
And this was the last sign. Because there were 7 signs in John. And this is the last sign. He got up. And he told them, I'm going to send you on assignment. The way my Father sent me. But in Matthew 28, he gives good news. He said, and lo, I am with you always, even unto the end of the world. So who was he speaking to? He was speaking to the disciples, but he's also speaking to you and I. And so yes, I put my face mask on. Yes, I wash my hands. But I don't do it in fear. I do it out of wisdom. But I believe he's with us. And St. Paul, I want you to know this. I believe God is with us. When we're being wise, he's with us. And follow everything you are hearing, because it could very well save all of our lives. Amen.
Amen.